Welcome to the Mount Angel Theater studio, everyone. It's Saturday, August 10th, 2024. My name is John Deschler. I'm coming to you from beautiful downtown Mount Angel, Oregon. And the address of this illustrious little semi-historic theater is 220 East Charles, Mount Angel, Oregon, 97362. I'm just going to go with this for the time being. Good morning or afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are. Most of you are east of me, which means it's not morning for any of us anymore. So nice to see you all. I've been at this now for better part of a month or slightly more in trying to dial in what is a bunch of old repurposed equipment, cameras, microphones, lights, etc., for a new cause, and that is the live stream capability here at the Mount Angel Theater studio. And I've been having a heck of a time learning about this USB audio mixer interface that I inherited with this space. But I think as of a couple days ago, I finally figured out where my wayward ways were in the achievement of decent audio levels. And so you'll see me do things like this because I'm trying to test everything along the way while I'm introducing myself and this space. My name is John Deschler. I'm a globally published commercial photographer, an exhibited photographer, a working musician, a bit of a filmmaker, an educator, a substitute teacher, the vice president of the Oregon Substitute Teacher Association, and the proprietor of this humble 100-seat theater in downtown Mount Angel, Oregon, originally built, as the story goes, in 1912 as a silent movie house. This space was a movie theater of one kind or another since 1912 through about, I'm going to say, 1975-ish. And then my friend Stu Rasmussen ended up buying it in 1980, and he began a conversion to what you see here now, which is essentially a live performance space, a movie theater, and a video and still production studio. And I'm sitting here on the stage in one of my historic prop chairs from my photography business over the last 40 years, and one of Stu's unique chairs, high heel, zebra fur covered, it's faux, of course, high heel shoes. Stu was notable at the bare minimum, in the public eye anyway, as the first openly transgendered mayor in the country. And he loved the technical sides of putting a place like this together and integrating systems. So I have all this old video equipment in here, and some of which is functional but somewhat low res. I've got some very nice lighting. I've got all my strobe lights, and I've been doing live music shows in here, private movie watching parties in here, photo shoots and video productions for the last 2.5 years. And I'm trying to see if we can become a little bit more of a vital part of a few communities moving forward in order to sustain the space. So if anybody in the Willamette Valley is interested in having a private movie watching party with their favorite DVD and say their favorite 50 to 100 friends and family, bringing in your own pizza or whatever it is, please contact me. That's an excellent usage of this space. I know that now because I've seen it happen, and I've facilitated it about 3 or 4 times. It's always a good time. Maybe actually about a half a dozen times, I'm thinking. So that's one thing. We're going to have a live Tune Tours show in here tonight at 7 o'clock, and I may try to live stream that now that I feel like I'm getting the upper hand on the audio level settings, which this is the next test in the litany of. And my Tune Tours quartet will be performing at the Markham Methodist Church tonight from about 4:30 to 6:45. And then a percentage of us will show up here at 7:15. I'll be here by 7. And we will do a 2-hour-long performance if there's people here. If there isn't people here, we might do an hour-long live stream. We'll see what happens and who shows up. That's kind of the way you have to play it in a town of 3,500 people, folks. So that's that. A week from yesterday, next Friday, I believe that'll be the 16th maybe, be performing with my illustrious associate and creative partner Neil Grandstaff at the Cardwell Hill Cellars down just outside of Philomath and Corvallis. That would be pretty much, I'd call it the central to south central, southwest central Willamette Valley. A beautiful spot. We played there many times before. Look forward to seeing you, Dan and Nancy. Thanks for the call. So once again, today we're playing at the Markham Methodist Church, and then we're playing here at the theater. And I'm going to see after this live stream if I can integrate a stage mixer with this digital interface mixer to make that all work a little bit better tonight, and maybe just flick the switches and go. So that's where we're at. I'm looking forward to a few things. Live streaming with some of my fellow Oregon Substitute Teacher Association board members, and that should start happening in the next couple weeks. Please keep your eyes peeled. I hope to get our illustrious leader, Phyllis Kirkwood, who's in her 90s. She started the organization in 1975, and it's a very unique organization. There's really not another one like it in the country. And they have been responsible for making some serious and significant positive changes in the landscape that is Oregon education and Oregon substitutes. I'll have much more about that to say moving forward. Cardwell Hill Cellars next Friday night. The Tune Tour Duo, the original Tune Tour Duo that started in the spring of 2020 in the early COVID era, going outdoors, performing for people where they were and making videos of it. So you can find all of that, a whole tour of Oregon basically, courtesy moi and my associates, on John Deschler's YouTube page. Check it out. The Painted Hills, downtown Silverton, Astoria column. There's some good stuff in there, and a very unique view of Oregon, which is rather, for those of you who don't know, Oregon has about 4.5 million people in it, roughly speaking, which is 1 to every 10 Californians, since California has somewhere in the 40 million people population department, and Oregon is bigger than half the size of California. It is one of the bigger states, certainly in the top 10. It might actually even be in the top 5. So Oregon is a very unique place because of that. There's a concentrated manifestation of humanity in the urban areas surrounding the I-5 corridor, particularly in the middle to northern part of the state that goes from Eugene to Portland. And then there's everywhere else, vast territories, coastal beauty, and communities. Small, historically small, and by today's standards, many of them are still small. Burns, Baker City, John Day, etc. Beautiful areas, beautiful landscapes, unique places to live, certainly, and to visit often. So, in the immediate area here, don't forget to discover Mount Angel. If you come to Mount Angel, you should check out any number of things. And this is a gratis ad for my friends outside with all of their other concerns and businesses. You've got the wonderful sports bar, 210 Pub next door. Say hello to Dre for me if you go in there, and I'll bet you he'll give you a discount or a free beer if you say John sent you from Matt's. You've got the Mount Angel Meat Company or Sausage Company. It's a fine place. It's kind of cool to go in there and see all of the Germanic products they have, mostly foodstuffs, but they've got cool products. You've got Lou's Kitchen under the Glockenspiel, a half a block from me here at the theater, and they do a really nice food service. I think 5 days a week. Call for information. And then most notably, we are known for two things. The world-famous Benedictine, Mount Angel Benedictine Abbey, which is essentially a college for Catholic monks and priests, and is on a gorgeous little hill knoll that I'm sure has been revered by all kinds of mankind for tens of thousands of years. But the Benedictines have run it for the last, I'm going to say about 150 years. I think they got up there and started building around 1870, 1880. So it's a gorgeous campus with a beautiful church, couple of incredible pipe organs. I believe the brothers chant every day, Gregorian chant. It's absolutely a beautiful thing to experience, whether you're religious or non-religious. And I'm non-religious. I'm religious about things like music and Mother Nature, and which is why I appreciate a lot of what they have going on up there. They've got some great music. They do a Bach festival every year. They have a significant library with significantly historic collections in it. They have a self-guided walking tour museum, a retreat house, which is kind of like a hotel, motel, probably a little bit closer to the hotel, with a 5-star chef, apparently. And all of these things are worthy of looking into if you're interested. But if you ever find yourself in the neighborhood of Mount Angel or Silverton, Oregon, you've got to go up to the Abbey and check out the views and just the incredible vantage point and grounds that they have up there. It's a worthy destination. And then Mount Angel is also very well known, as far as it goes, for its very large annual Oktoberfest. Now for, I think, about 60 years it's been going on. Totally volunteer, community-based event. Goes over the course of 4 days. This year, I believe it's September 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Should be the Sunday. With the Friday night, Saturday, and Sundays being the most busy times, particularly for the extended public from places farther away. And it's a pretty good time. Lots of great food and arts and crafts and beer garden and wine garden and bands, etc., etc. And what I've decided to do this year in here is offer a completely diverse array of non-Bavarian programming and a kind of a broad swath. So my Tune Tours combos will perform. The Portland Lesbian Choir will perform. I have a wonderful opera singer named Sean Shim who will perform Puccini. I have the First Congregational United Church of Christ from Portland Park Blocks, Southwest Park Blocks, bringing their choir to perform. Dear friend and excellent modern classical composer Merrick Woods Harris performing his own sonatas on piano. And I may have a brass choir, quartet or quintet. That's in process right now of exploring the conversation and trying to put it together. And it looks like I will have at least a couple of other films that I'll be playing. One of which is an Oregon story, which is about the history of land use and land use planning in the state of Oregon. And it's been produced by a couple of, an old friend of mine and an old acquaintance of mine. And I just watched that film this morning, and it's really quite worthy. They have an 80-minute version and a 25-minute version. I think I'll play each one once during the Oktoberfest because I support conscientious land use planning. And I also support people undertaking significant projects that are born out of passion and conservation. So that's an overview, and more of that and the details thereof will be coming on the website, www.mtangeltheaterstudio.com. That is mountangeltheaterstudio.com. And I'm doing all I can to update that moving forward the next month or so fairly regularly. The area is also notable for the nationally famous Silver Falls State Park, which we are kind of the gateway to. Off of the 5 freeway through Woodburn. You come through downtown Mount Angel and head straight into Silverton, and then another 10 to 12 miles up into the foothills of the Cascade Mountains gets you into the gorgeous waterfall park, Silver Falls State Park. So those are all things that you should check out if you ever get to the area. These test live streams are about me introducing myself and what I'm doing and the space, etc., etc. So I've done much of that already. Look up Stu Rasmussen. He was a good friend and creative partner of mine for close to 15 years before he passed away about 2.5 years ago. Major loss to the local community. Look him up. You can look me up if you want to, John Deschler. That's JONDESHLER. As I said, I'm a globally published photographer. I've worked for over 40 years now as a commercial photographer. I've worked for the likes of AFLAC and Aetna and Arena and Panasonic, Sony, InFocus, Intel, Freightliner, Nike, Nokia, Southern Comfort, so many people over the years I've worked for and with. And that and other reasons have propelled me into this position. And as the vice president of the Oregon Substitute Teacher Association currently, I've cultivated more and more opinions and observations about things that are going on in our society and or things that are not going on that should be going on. And I want to start making commentary on them. Commenting and making commentary, yeah. Using correct English. This is all improvised, folks. So don't knock it until you've tried it. So anyways, Stu Rasmussen, John Deschler, and oh yes, we cannot forget, because I appreciate him so much in his sensibilities and his sentiments and his graciousness. And that would be my dear friend John Simpkins, the painter of this fine, large 10 by 16 foot painting of his poodle named Chaya. And you can see Chaya, and then you can see John on top of Chaya's back, laying there like a grand odalisque. I love that illusion, that historically significant artistic illusion of the inherent connection and relationship between man and best friend dog, but also as much or maybe even more Mother Nature. And I know John has a significant relationship with Mother Nature, like myself, and he's revered it for much of the last, well, the whole time I've known him, because I met him when he was living alone with his poodle in the ghost town of Andrews in the Alvord Desert of southeastern Oregon. And I strongly recommend you look up John Simpkins, artist, painter. This is his largest canvas ever, I believe. It's called Chaya. It is available for sale. I just have custody of it because John ended up, long story short, relocating to an Amana colony in Iowa in the last year and a half or so. And I just couldn't bear to think that Oregon was letting him go, ultimately. And I kept seeing that maybe I'd have a space and a place for it here in this undertaking. And as a symbol of inspiration and creativity, I love having art around. And I have a lot of my pictures on the walls, but needless to say, those are my pictures, so I have a different feeling about those. But to have this beautiful painting here on my stage with me has been very comforting, and appreciate him so much. So look up John Simpkins, artist. He's got a huge social media presence. He's got 1 or 2 websites. I believe his most recent exhibit was just before COVID at the High Desert Museum outside of Bend, Oregon. And he's been broadly exhibited, but I think more broadly collected. And he's been at it since he was a young man. John grew up in Northern California, the wine country, and he and I became friends pretty much over the last 10, 12 years. And it evolved to a mutually beneficial place where at least one of his most significant pieces is kind of here on display in Oregon in my humble Mount Angel Theater and Studio. So that's the explanation for that, and more about him and his artwork and my relationship to large canvases later. I think that might be moving towards a wrap. I've got a gig at 4:30, and then I've got to be back here by 7, and I need to spend a little time on messing with this audio, double-checking the audio on this stream, and then trying to interface one more piece of equipment with my whole live stream system. So please stay tuned, folks. Please give us a thumbs up, a subscribe, a share, and talk about the funny, funky little Mount Angel Theater, small town folks on a big mission, trying to make positive contributions everywhere we go with our mindfulness, our music, and our art, let alone anything educational. So once again, thank you for listening. If you've listened live, bless you. If you've watched this far, bless you. Please don't leave without subscribing and give me a thumbs up. I need to make this thing be somewhat successful so I can keep this space the way it is for multi-purpose, artistic, and creative endeavors in this historic, slightly off the beaten path, cool, little beautiful town of Mount Angel, Oregon. Okay, so there's a side-by-side test. I'm going to get up. I'm going to walk up I've got two spots where I can go talk to camera number one with two different lighting configurations. One is at the end of the level stage right here. This is my main light number one. That's camera number one. And now the stage angles upwards, and I lose that light, and I'm going just to the back of house light, spotlight. That's what that looks like, and I like to learn. Every time I shoot something, I learn something. So once again, thank you, folks. Please say hello, send a nice message, be kind, and be kind.